kids have no idea how easy you have it. Back in our day, in order to be killed by a little dead girl, you had to watch a VHS tape, get a phone call on a landline, and then, 7 days later, she would crawl out of a tube TV. None of this HD TV shit, the flat screen shit that you could easily just like bloop bloop. No. No, she had to work to haunt us.
Those long distance calls aren't cheap.
They're not cheap. From the other side, hello, it's me. You have no idea how easy you have it for your hauntings these days. You got it on your smartphones and your interwebs.
The YouTubes?
The YouTubes? You could just put it onto the YouTubes? We had to make VHS copies, which means you had to go to CVS or Rite Aid or another, place that sold blank VHS tapes. Then you had to have 2 VCRs so you could play one, record on the other, and then you had to mail by postage that VCR to someone else. That's like a 35-cent stamp at the cheapest. I don't remember what mail was back then. But depending on the weight of the VHS... Okay, what did we see? We got to get off this topic so I don't get angry.
We saw rings.
We were doing so good at seeing, subpar, mediocre movies.
And then there just had to be the one. The one that should have gotten away. But instead we chased it, and now we're married to it with 7 kids. Each one wants to kill us.
For those of you who are unaware and have been sleeping under a rock or living under a rock, Rings is the unwanted, unasked for sequel of the 2002 movie The Ring and the subsequent The Ring 2, which I believe was 2005. And it was unnecessary.
To say the least.
To say the least.
Pretty much.
The most noticeable thing about this movie is somehow the special effects look worse 15 years later than they did in 2002.
They did.
And the best part of this entire movie were the clips from the video, the VHS tape that kills people, that was made in 2002. It was the same thing. It was the most impressive part of this movie today in 2017 was something that was made in 2002. I'm sure some of it was CGI back in 2002, but they had to do some real things.
They used practical effects as well.
The combination of CGI and practical effects makes the CGI look better.
Mm-hmm.
When everything's CGI, it just looks completely fake. And that was the biggest takeaway for me, is that it looks much worse than the 2002 one. And it's 15 years later. So by every logical thought, it should be better.
Yes, by every standard, this movie should be better. But in fact, if you look at it for long enough, for the hour and 45 minutes of runtime that it had, it is not. It is far from it. It is bad.
Well, first of all, 15 minutes into the movie, I wrote a note that said "foreign director?" ? The dialogue made me think that. It doesn't seem like it was written by or directed by someone who has English as their first language. And that's not to knock the guy's use of the English language, but it shouldn't be obvious. Like, you should collaborate with your American cast.
With somebody.
And it also didn't help that the main actress was also Italian. Again, have nothing wrong with her being Italian or anything.
But it shows.
They don't reference the fact that she's Italian and try to pass her off as American. And it's just obvious that English is her second language or third language or however many. Again, not knocking her, but point it out or something. Just be like, oh, I'm Italian.
By the way.
Boppity boopity. Speaking of Italian, no, I'll save that for later.
I'm not going to go too far because I'll dwell on a lot of it later. But I didn't think I would like the 2016 movie Lights Out more than I do today.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you guys for some reason watched our Lights Out review, I didn't like it.
I was like, shut up, Brad.
The only
Shut
reason, and man, do I enjoy Lights Out far more than I do Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet Lord. In Leighton's terms, like,
Layman's terms.
that's what I said. Like, my autocorrect over here, buddy. I'm so tired of crappy. Like, if any of you guys know me, I hate crappy horror movies, and this was the pooper. If you want to go into this movie and like it, just picture it as a comedy. That's all you need to do.
I laughed a lot.
To like this
I
movie.
laughed a lot.
Because we laughed a lot.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean we liked it, but
don't go into this movie thinking it's a horror movie, because gotcha, it's a comedy, because you'll laugh your guts out. Literally, because there's murder.
Essentially, I've said everything I need to say that doesn't go into spoilers. We're going to do a spoiler review in a second, but we're going to give you our thoughts and our rating before we do that.
Yes.
Do you have anything else to say?
That's it.
All right.
I didn't say much, but that was enough.
My rating, and I think you'll agree, skip it.
It's a skip.
Just a big fat skip it. And now, spoiler review.
Starting
5,
now.
4,
Now.
2, 1.
Actually, now. So basically, we wrote a lot down. There's like a page or two, maybe.
Page and a quarter.
Page and a quarter. We're just gonna go down this list of the bullet points that we wrote down. Maybe you'll laugh along with us, because some of these are actually really funny. First off, Mike wrote, "shouldn't exist," which is true.
I wrote that before the movie started.
Yes.
And usually I try to go into a movie with a positive attitude, but with how little they've advertised this, I knew it was going to be terrible. And I just knew it's too late. 15 years is too long.
Oh.
Unless you're Toy Story 3, 15 years is too long to make a sequel.
And Ring was never that popular enough.
Yeah, the first Ring was really
to...
well. It wasn't even really good. The first Ring,
it
shouldn't exist.
It was good enough. Second bullet I wrote down is sorry, is the intro where there's a passenger on the plane and he's having the jitters. He's so scared, and then this girl turns to him. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" He turns to the chick. He's like, "I just watched a video where we're all gonna be murdered, and I'm so scared, and I want to die." And he just goes to the bathroom, and I'm like, "Okay."
Addition to that, there are two back-to-back shots of this guy, and they show one from behind him, and he's super sweaty. And then they show the second one, which is kind of like the side of his face, kind of front view, but mostly side, dry as a bone.
Next out we have is lame prologue. That was you, which
the entire first 15 minutes was absolutely
solid lame.
It was all exposition for something we already know is about. The first time you see the tape, which Johnny Galecki of Big Bang Theory fame, he watches the video first in this movie.
Which, speaking of, it's in HD. That's like an HD quality movie that he's watching.
If you have he has a VHS that's in a VCR on an HD TV.
Mm-hmm.
I have a VHS, or I have a VCR that's attached to my HD TV. It is not HD just because you're plugging into an HD TV does not make it HD.
And the movie was made, I think they said 30 years ago.
I mean, if you have an HDMI, if you have an HDMI cable, it could bump it up to 720.
But that looked like some 4K shit.
He didn't though. He also didn't have an HD. They showed the back of it. He didn't even have the red, yellow, and white cables plugged into it. It was just the power, and somehow it got to the TV.
My next bullet is super cheesy, sappy college love couple. It's because that's what they were. That's super cheesy, sappy love couple. My next bullet here is, when did colleges start getting a floor in their building dedicated to a club?
Exactly! I was going to write that too. I'm glad I didn't.
While she's stalking the teacher, he goes up to the 7th floor, and she just happened to steal the key for the elevator from her boyfriend's room. For some god reason, she took this key from her boyfriend's room. And for the perfect moment, she was like, "Oh man, this elevator needs a key to get up to this room." She gets up to the room. It's a freaking club at the college.
Any of you who have graduated college know that your college will contact you trying to get donations while you're still drowning in student loans.
And I'm not talking about
And-
the AV club. I'm talking about a club.
And if
John
I found
Wicks
out,
wants to shoot up.
if I found out that the college that is asking me for loans or for donations after I am like drowning in loans has an entire floor dedicated to a club in which people who watch this video get to sit around and discuss how to not die in 7 days, I would be very upset.
Julia has got the best detective skills.
She's a regular
ever.
Sherlock
She-
Holmes.
Batman connoisseur.
The Batman's?
She's the Batman.
She straight up Batman's that shit.
She sees things that no normal person would just be like, okay, yeah, cool place, man. Is that a picture of my boyfriend over there behind that nightstand? All right.
She's got a keen eye for things regarding her boyfriend.
The next bullet that I've got is other Ring movies were better just because they didn't have stupid, annoying teenagers like this movie did.
Yeah. Naomi Watts. We love you. Effects somewhat worse than 2002. I talked about that earlier. It was terrible. It was terrible. Terrible.
Oh, this movie that everybody's watching is killing people? I should probably watch it. Because that's exactly what the girlfriend did. Oh, she's special? She gets visions? Oh,
Which I would have no problem with if they explained why. But they don't.
She just has visions. Oh, never grab the steering wheel.
Yeah. Did we both? Or is that my handwriting? That was
yours.
There's this part where they're driving, and she has a vision of a bird hitting the windshield. Spoiler alert, it didn't happen. And she grabs the guy's steering wheel. If you're a passenger and you see a person standing in the middle of the road and the driver doesn't see it, it is safer to just hit that person. I'm sorry for that person. First of all, they shouldn't be standing in the middle of the road. But don't grab the steering wheel!
That whole scene happened, I literally took this notebook and just went over to Mike.
Tossed it to
I
me.
was like, okay.
Because he was thinking what I was thinking and wanted me to write it. Oh, Julia's version of the tape, not nearly as disturbing as the original, and it tries too hard. When I watched, I mean, granted, I was 13 when I watched The Ring, 2002 version. That videotape still haunts me today. The nail going through the nail, the thousands of bodies like crawling in the mud. Everything about that video was absolutely disturbing. They did a lot of it, practically, so it makes it that much more terrifying. Nearly every single shot in Jules' special version of the tape is obviously CGI and not nearly as creepy. Like they have like a fetus, which there's a scarier fetus in the demo game PT, which unfortunately never got made. But the fetus
Norman Reedus and the funky fetus.
But that fetus was 1,000 times scarier. There's a body burning, which, I mean, you even see in Darth Vader and Return of the Jedi. Like, it's things that aren't really, unfortunately, not that scary because we're so desensitized to it. And you could tell they were just, they just took everyone's fears, like a flooded graveyard, a church, a scary church where the bell tower was rotting away. It was just all this imagery that sounds like some angsty teenager's poem.
Cross in a flood.
Cross in a flood. And it was just, you could tell it was just trying too hard.
Yeah, it was this
And
movie. Oh man, this movie's trying hard.
The first video starts off with just a woman brushing her hair in the mirror. I mean, it doesn't make sense because there's no one in front of the mirror, but you could tell it's a mirror and she's brushing her hair.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just little things like that take you a second, and then it builds. It's so much better in the original one. And
yeah, the new one just had a bunch of random stuff.
It shouldn't have tried to one-up the original, and you could tell it was trying.
Come on, pick up.
They anytime someone's calling someone, they go, come on, pick up.
Before the phone even started ringing, the teacher was like, come on, pick up.
2 times.
Come on, pick up.
Possibly more, but I noticed 2 times. And 2 times is too many because you never say, come on, pick up when you're on the phone.
The next bullet. Her hand is fucking braille. So there's a certain point in the movie where, like, when she's talking on the phone with the girl, and like the phone burns her hand, and
which I believe it used to do, like in the 2002 version, it did.
Oh yeah.
And it was the only time they referenced that, but I could be wrong. I haven't seen it in a while.
She's got a mark on her hand where it's braille. It's braille. It's braille. Her hand is fucking braille.
Can I jump ahead for a second?
Please.
It's braille. And at the end, like, you don't find out what it means until the very end. And at the very end, the boyfriend is typing in what the Braille is into this website that translates Braille to, English alphabet letters.
Real words.
And somehow, did Samara know? Did Samara design this Braille and like a haunted computer program that when they went on this website and typed it in, that's when it would just let all the videos onto YouTube? I know it's a ghost, and I know the ghost can do supernatural things. But come on! Come on!
We already talked about the actress for Julia wasn't so good.
No.
And
it was more than just her obviously not having English as a first language.
Yeah.
She was just a flat, stiff, terrible, not good, very bad day actor.
Kind of going off the Braille thing. There's a character played by Vincent D'Onofrio who happens to be blind, and his character, one of the first lines he introduces himself as, a blind guy who watches over the place. Classic. And then he ends up reading her hand. He's like, "What is this on your hand? Why is this on your hand?" My God.
Where's Martha? Why'd you say that name?
Where's Braille?
Where's Braille?
There weren't too many other dots other than that, because it wasn't too noteworthy after.
There was a lot of this movie that just didn't make sense.
But there was one thing left that we still need to discuss.
How she becomes Samara?
No, the diner scene.
I almost forgot. Thank you so much.
We gotta talk about
Thank
the diner
you so much.
scene.
Okay, this diner scene, in all, is not bad. It's not great. It's not amazing. It's not good. It's not bad though. It's not terrible. Except for one shot.
Just one little thing.
Where this woman is eating mashed potatoes like it's spaghetti. There's mashed potatoes. She's got a green bean on her fork and some mashed potatoes, and she starts spinning it like it's spaghetti. You don't eat mashed potatoes like spaghetti. If there was any doubt in your mind that this director was foreign and probably Italian because he has an Italian actress as the lead, it was then. Italians, you don't eat all food like you do spaghetti. That really got me. I turned to him and was like, that's where I draw the line.
He turns, he's like, "Did she just eat like that spaghetti?"
Only quietly because there's other people in the theater and I have respect for others.
"Did she just eat that like spaghetti?"
And he went, "Yes." And I said, "I'm done.
Draws
done."
the line.
That was the worst thing I've ever seen. You scoop it up. You don't need to spin it on your fork. There's nothing to spin. If anything, you're going to get less mashed potatoes that way because it's going to fall off. You scoop it. I'm okay.
All right, we're good. We're good now.
The green beans.
Hold on, big guy. It's okay. Thanks for watching this video. Over here is going to be last week's review, which was for Gold. Over here was a Throwback Thursday. You guys should watch that. Right in the middle here is not going to be any green beans and mashed potatoes. It's going to be a subscribe button. Below that, Mike, come on.
Dislike, dislike. Comment section. If you've seen Rings, I'm sorry. Tell me what you thought about it.
Tell me what you think about spaghetti.
Mashed potatoes and spaghetti.